Okay.
I am honored to have Mr. Jimmy Burgess joining us. He's the Chief Growth Officer of a Berkshire Hathaway HomeServices system. Jimmy, you can tell us about offices and agent count and that kind of thing in a minute. But you are in the northwest kind of corner of Florida, right?
Yes.
Beautiful seaside Florida, which I got to visit a couple Septembers ago. It's awesome there. Anyway, welcome, Jimmy. And Jimmy, will you start with just a little bit of bio? I know you were a very strong agent at first and have gone on to this new role. So tell us about yourself, and then we'll get started.
Yeah, I do. I 27 years, I moved in this position now 3 years ago. But before that, I'd built teams. I closed a little over $500 million worth of transactions in my career. Really my passion has always been for helping agents. That was really why I was building the team. When I was building team, it was because it gave me an opportunity to build some agents. And I just love that portion of it. I had gone to our broker owner and said, hey, I'd love to do a little mastermind for some of these agents that are stalled. We did, with 8 of those agents, we did an 8-week, basically just training program, mastermind type of thing for them. And within the end of the 8 weeks, they had pending volume that exceeded their previous year. 6 of the 8 did. And so we were like, well, wait a minute, we may have something here. And so that gave me the opportunity then that I moved into this chief growth officer position, which basically just means, I got the best job in the world. I get to give agents what I wish I would have had, whether it be tools, technology, training, everything there. And I'm loving it. When I started 3 years ago, we were running revenue-wise as a company. We were in around the $14 million range. We'll do $55 million this year. We've gone from about 70 agents to now pushing up on today with the addition we have today, right at 250 agents, and we will have closed $2 billion worth of sales in the last 12 months. And we closed about 600 when I started 3 years ago. So we've been seeing some growth. Listen, most of the people on this have probably been doing this a little while. The market's making us look a little better than we are right now, so I'll take it because I've been on the other side of that. But there's some things that we're going to go through today that are just really that we're really focusing on, that is just really dramatically giving us an opportunity really to do a couple things, expanding inventory-wise, to be able to find some inventory, some off-market stuff, and really just service our clients in a way that is not just good for us now, but that just plants seeds that just fill that funnel, so to speak, that'll feed hopefully everybody on the call for the next couple of years with some ideas. Is that what you're looking for? I guess, Dave? Okay.
You're perfect, and it's cute that you're so modest when you say we've seen some growth when you went from 600 million to 2 billion in 3 years. That's kind of exciting growth, Jimmy.
Yeah. Well, you know how this is. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself because the market can change on us. That's been some tailwinds. Obviously, we hope we've done some right things, but the biggest thing that I'm most proud of is that the agents that have been with us during those 3 years, or that have joined us and had at least 2 full years with us, we've got 70% of them that have doubled their business since they were with us this last year. So that's something that's pretty. I'm pretty excited about. Because it's one of those where, the numbers don't lie. The market makes us look good, but to double your business, and especially when our average agent now is doing about $7.5 million, that's something that we're real proud of.
As well you should be, sir. And I'm taking notes on all that stuff because that's great stuff. All right, Todd, I'll turn it back over to you. I know you have a bit of an agenda to kind of roll through with Jimmy, so back to you, sir.
Alrighty, yeah, we had talked about a few things yesterday, and really my goal for today was, we've got great tools. There's ways to get business that we're always kind of used about getting, and I think we sometimes forget about not only ways to maximize the ways we've always got business, but to use new tools or even old tools in a new way to start building pipeline. And that's what if I have one goal in this company, it's to transition our culture from a lead culture to a pipeline culture, right? I really want people to think about their business as, the paycheck's there waiting for them to get it. They've got the pipeline filled up. There's months and months and years worth of paychecks waiting. We just need to harvest that. And so Berkshire Hathaway, I've been impressed from day one as to the breadth of tools that they make available to us for free, frankly. And then on top of that, our brokerage has added some tools that I shared with you. So what I'd like to do, if you would, just kind of share what you know about the tools we have, and infill some ideas on how we could use those today to get business today and to fill that pipeline for tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say this, and Todd, this is what I love about this. I mean, as we were talking yesterday, I wish that we had the capability, or that we had all of the tools that you guys are offering to everybody out there. To be perfectly frank, you've inspired me. I've already met with our operations manager this morning on some of the things that y'all discussed and we talked about last night, to see if there's a way for us to start making this make sense, to add some of the things that y'all do and that you offer. And I'll say this, I think the best thing, well, first off, let me just say this. If you can't recognize my accent, when we're talking about Northwest Florida, it's a different LA than y'all know, but we're called LA out here, which is Lower Alabama. I'm in the Florida Panhandle. And if you can't tell by my accent, what I'm going to be talking about today, I'm not a professor. You know, I'm not going to speak on theory. I'm going to talk to you about the things that I know have worked for us, and that I believe with all my heart, because we're seeing it work with our agents. It'll be able to work with you. And so, if it's okay with you, what I want to do is I want to go right into a couple of different specific strategies, and I'm going to sprinkle in the tools that y'all provide and some other tools that are out there, if that's okay with you. Okay. So let me mention this right now. The biggest issue we're facing right now, obviously, is the inventory in most every situation. We've got some of our top agents that are used to carrying 40 listings, and they're only carrying 4 or 5 right now. And they're trying to continue to build that inventory, but they're selling them as quick as they get them, and wanting more, obviously, listings. Let me talk about a strategy that I personally used and that we're implementing right now and seeing tremendous results with, and that's the unsolicited video CMA. Now, let me explain to you what this was. This is where I had past people that had either indicated to me that they might consider selling in the next couple of years. They were past buyers of mine. They were people that had older expired listings. We're going to talk about this in a minute. Or they were people that I knew that were in my farm areas that I knew were probably getting to a point in life where they may be considering making a change or selling their houses. Biggest thing what I did is I decided the last quarter that I was in sales, which was the fourth quarter of 2018, I decided I was going to do one of these unsolicited. They hadn't asked for it. Updated valuation. I was going to record my screen. Listen, you've got great tools that are free like Zoom. I used BombBomb, where it would have my picture in the bottom corner. And then I recorded my screen where I could share my screen and show them a couple of things I'm going to get to in just a second. Here's the numbers, though, because I think you can talk about things in theory, but here's the results. I did one a day. Listen, it was the fourth quarter. We had Thanksgiving, Christmas, some weekends, some holidays, and I did one every day I worked. So I ended up doing 72 of these in that last fourth quarter. By the time I shifted into the position I'm in now in May of that next year, directly from those, that took me about 30 minutes, some of them a little longer, some of them a little less, but on average about 30 minutes to do one of these, where I would prepare for it, record it, email it out. I generated $11.2 million worth of listings, and I sold over $9.1 million worth of those listings. Listen, some of them obviously they didn't all sell back in 2018 like they do now. Here's the kicker on this. When I broke this down, my average sales price may be a little higher. I think it's probably in line with a lot of y'all's. But when I broke that down on an hourly basis, not the ones that I converted, but just the ones, just taking all 72 of them, a half hour spent, it ended up being right at $3,600 per hour. Every single time that I sat down and did one of these, that was a $3,600 an hour activity that I was doing. The question becomes then, even if your sales price was half of mine, or even if you got half the conversion that I did, which we're seeing right now, y'all, everywhere we're doing this, because I've done this with some other companies in the franchise, about 8% of these end up being listings within 6 months because nobody else is doing this. So let me give you the practical side of this of exactly how to do this and talk about some of the tools. I mentioned I was recording my screen. Let me give you another free tool that makes you look really good. Google Earth is amazing. So when I was doing this, I would start these out with where I would have their house pulled up. So you can imagine, I start the recording. The second that I pull it up, I push the button where in Google Earth, it starts taking this cool thing from space down onto the top of their house. Now, let me just say this. When people see that, when they start, they're going to watch it because it's going down on their particular house. And it's this new thing. I had this one guy, y'all. He sent me this and he said, He said, what are you, the high-tech redneck? And I was like, I don't know whether to take that right as something as a compliment, but I'll take it, I guess. And maybe, but it just has a little bit of a high-tech thing that captures them right out of the gate. The next thing that I pulled up, and I already had these tabs pulled up, I had it pulled up with the active pending solds like theirs in their neighborhood. I literally didn't have to memorize it. I had them on my screen. I'm just talking to them. Then I had pulled up the 3 that were most like theirs. And I went through those, and then I gave them a range of value. And right now what we're doing is we're saying, listen, obviously I haven't been in your house the last 12 to 18 months because of everything that's been going on. But I want to give you a range of where the value is because the market's moved dramatically. And I gave them a range of about $50,000. And then I finished it with just simply saying, hey, listen, and by the way, if you're curious about what it would sell for right now, take me 5 minutes to walk through the house, and I can tell you on this range exactly what it'll sell for. So if you're interested in that, just let me know. The last thing that I did is that I had my net sheet pulled up, and that was just the estimated seller's net, not including mortgage, HOA, any of the prorations, those kind of things, and just gave them a rough idea in the middle of that. I did not ask them for a listing. I did not mention them listing their house. All I did was this, and then I'm going to give you the secret sauce that really had this thing have some shelf life. All I did was I just said, hey, and right now what we're doing is saying, hey, we're coming out of the backside of this thing. The market is getting a little silly, to be honest, right now. So where we're at right now is I just want to give you an update, middle of June, on the backside of the pandemic, exactly roughly where your house value is. Even if you're not thinking about selling, it's a great place to know where your value is. And then I want you to know that if you're curious a year from now, 2 years from now, 6 months from now, where were you price-wise and value-wise when you maybe get ready to see that? All you got to do is go in your email, and I titled everything in the subject line the same. It was their address, valuation update. Now, here's the kicker and why that's so important. I did these in 2018, the fourth quarter. You got to understand, I shifted into this position. I didn't do any active sales or pursuing. It's embarrassing. I did not keep up with my past clients. 2020 hits, all this craziness goes on. Guess what? Those same 72 I did back in 2018 had not contacted a single one of those people. I listed over $5 million in 2020 because this thing has a tail on it. Because what you got to understand is nobody else is doing this. It sets you apart. It's different. It's a value add to your people, and it keeps you top of mind, even if it's top of mind a year later. On top of the $5 million that I sold, of those that sold that $5 million, they bought another $3.5 million. I sold $8.5 million from something I did a year and a half ago. Now, what are the activities we've got right now that we can do that we can add value, not asking for business, giving? Because listen, when you give, I promise you it comes back way faster than it goes out. Giving them something of value, something different they're not used to seeing, something they can reference into the future. You post something on Facebook or you send them a mailer, it's going in the trash. It's done the second that they get done with it. This has that opportunity to keep doing this and going into the future and generating business for you. So the unsolicited video CMA, some of the resources I would say on this. Listen, if you've got some people that you know of and you don't have the email addresses, if it's a primary residence, y'all are provided with Cole Realty Resource. You can get some of these email addresses for free. It's a great way to be able to reach out to some of these people that maybe you know of or you've met or you know, or it's a neighbor or it's somebody that you've seen some activity happening that you know is probably leading to a sale. Great way to utilize that. I would just say this. If I'd have stayed in business, I can't fathom. Imagine this. It got me $5 million a year and a half later and I had not done it. Imagine if you set this up where you were doing one of these a day. And then 6 months from now, you're circling back and doing another one for those same people you did one 6 months ago or a year later. What would the compounding effect be on your business to be not only top of mind, but be the agent of choice because you're doing something in a fresh way that adds value to them, and you're not even trying to ask them about business. I didn't ask a single person for those listings. They called me and said, hey, thanks. I know you mentioned if I wanted you to, you could walk through the house. I'd love for you to come walk through our place and just give us an idea. Boom, it's done. A lot of these, hey, I know you did this for us back then. Can you give us an updated one? That's what happened a year and a half later. Absolutely. Then the ones that did and listed with me before, they were like, hey, this was killer. I've never seen anything like this. It's pretty interesting what you're looking at. Do you think we could possibly push this a little bit? Whatever it is, it just generated the conversations with owners. And the best thing we can be doing right now, the industry needs you guys, the best of the best, the tip of the spear, to be out there providing these valuations, giving the information to the people that are going to make decisions now or into the future. So that's to be the first one is unsolicited CMA. Is that okay? We good with that?
So a couple points of clarity, Jimmy. And
Yeah.
if you're using BombBomb, correct me if I'm wrong, but if someone opens up that same email 3 months later, you get notified that they looked at it again, right?
Dave, that was the beauty of this. Not only does it do that, when I send it to them the first time, if they watch it 7 times, I was calling that person. You see what I'm saying? So it tells me how many times they open it. It tells me if they shared it with somebody. All these different things that I was getting. That's why I liked BombBomb that way. On the kicker side of that, yes, nothing like it. I had it set up where literally to this day, if somebody opens one of those that was done back then, on the bottom right-hand side of my screen, it's going to pop up and tell me this was looked at. I can go back into their analytics and see who's looked at them in the last month. It tells me all of those things. So that's the part of it from the tail perspective of just having this where it just continues to add value into the future. It's almost like you're filling the funnel and they just keep dropping out from that thing into the future. And it's pretty exciting on that side for sure.
I love it. So before we close this topic, tell us one more time who the key targets are that you were selecting to send this to.
So I think I always kept a next 10 list, and I think most of the folks on here kind of have an idea who might be their next 10 listings. That's where I'd start. Whoever it is that you've got in your mind that is mentioned that they may sell this year, or somebody that may be in a transition, somebody that has a child that's graduating from college, somebody that or from high school, or has recently gotten married, has a new baby. All those people that have life transitions. I wanted to start with the low-hanging fruit. So that was people that had told me they were going to sell, told me that they might sell, told me they were going to sell in the next couple of years. Then I went and I started with people that were old expired listings. We're going to get to this in a little bit, but right now to me, the gold is in the old expired listings. So if you go out there and you look at 3 to 12-month-old expireds right now, even 24-month-old expireds, those people are getting called the day that they go expired by tons of people. But the beauty of our business is majority of the people stop the second they don't list in the first week. So if you go out there and you can find that list of people that have expired listings, that say were 6 months ago and they haven't relisted, they haven't resold, do all the research, and then you utilize that group, that is freaking high hay to cut right there. I mean, they will literally, those folks, they were telling you they wanted to sell their place. They didn't have the right agent. So you providing them something they've never seen before is going to set you apart and capture their attention in a way that will get you the conversation. There's nobody on this call, this group, there's nobody on this call that can't freaking close them if they get in front of them. This will get you in front of them in a way that's fresh, different, and that every single time, I mean, listen, if you knew that every time you did one of these, you're going to get $1,000. It was like every morning I'm going to do 30 minutes to get you $1,000. I'm telling you, if you do one of these every morning, it's probably going to get you more than $1,000. So hard coding that in is what we're doing with our top producers to where they're doing these on a daily basis. Where you can see this. And like I told you yesterday, and I apologize I don't have it right now, I can show you an example. I can send you an example of one of these, Dave, if you want to, Todd, if y'all want to, where you can take a look at it. And if you want a deeper dive on this, on my YouTube channel, I've got a video that I did where I go through the exact process I used, show pictures and all that. And I can send that to you as well if you'd like more information.
Yes, please.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. I'm a subscriber to your YouTube. I steal stuff from you all the time. So definitely.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead, Jim.
Well, I'm fascinated by the whole Google Earth thing, and I think you just answered the question. But so, like, you're on BombBomb or whatever it is you're going to use, Zoom. So how do you get the Google Earth? What do you just share the screen so that the Google Earth shows up?
Yeah, that's exactly right, Janice. So what I'll do is I'll share my screen. So in other words, I will be down in the bottom corner, just like if you're on Zoom. Same thing with if you're doing that with BombBomb. I'm going to use that because that's what I use, but I've done it with Zoom. I've taught agents how to do this with Loom, with Zoom, and also with BombBomb. It really is, the tool is less effective. I liked BombBomb because of the reporting and what Dave mentioned that I got notified. But you don't have to have everything right to start doing these. So I would set it up where I'm starting down on the bottom. Like with BombBomb, the second you go record video, it gives you a 3, 2, 1 countdown. Well, before I got to that, I had the tabs already pulled up. So what I would do is I would sit there and I would have those tabs pulled up where I would literally have that tab pulled up where it would tell me that I already had that pulled up. The beauty of this is if I put the address handwritten in there, or I had it in the bar for Google Earth, if I waited and then as soon as I just started speaking and then I pushed enter, it would then start that process of going down to them. Because if you don't, it's going to start you with right over the thing. And I did a bunch of them that way also. That's just a way to capture them real quick. But you don't have to do the whole zoom in thing. In reality, if you just punch in their address and press enter and then you press record, you're going to be rotating around on top of their house or their place anyway.
I love it. Thank you. So that's on your YouTube channel, you said?
Yes, I believe it will pop right up, but I think the title of that video, so that you can kind of see, is number one listing. I can't remember, Janice. I think it was number one listing, way to generate listings in 2021 or something like that. It's one of it's been watched a little bit. I think it's, I don't know. It should pop right up on the front top part when you go into the channel.
Perfect. And do I just go to YouTube and type in your name?
Yes, and then if you don't, when you search that, just put in unsolicited or CMA, and it's going to probably bring up a couple of different things where I've gone over this.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. I mean, at the end, I was going to have you give all your social media credentials and such, so we'll get to that.
Okay.
All right, what's next?
So let me say this. Times have changed. You're either growing or you're dying. So the traditional idea of farming absolutely still works. We actually increased, with the majority of the teams that I help manage, we increased the number and the amount of direct mail we did. We just know the numbers are 1% or less, you know what I'm saying, on the conversion on that. But it is still a critical part of this business is farming. But what I want to talk to you about is digital farming, lowering the cost, increasing the impact, okay? So here's what happened and how this all came about. I had this older client of mine. I say older. We had just been working together for 20 years. She wasn't older, but I was probably older than her. But we had been working together for a long time. She had this little condo for sale. I'd been selling these condos forever. She sent me an email that was from the HOA saying that, hey, you can't really show this. We can't really show this house, the condo, unless you go in the back door this week because they're paving the parking lot. See the email below from the HOA. Dave, I look at the email. The HOA had not blind copied them. The HOA sent me and it said name, unit number, email address. I was like, ooh, y'all shouldn't have given that to me. Because immediately what I did is I grabbed that group. I went into, and listen, there's so many different tools. I mean, you can use the CRM that we've got with Sage. You can use whatever you want. I used a free version of MailChimp, and I went in there and I put all of those into a list, and I began sending email updates. Same kind of thing. I was recording my screen. Now, let me give you the basics on this, and then I'm going to get back. Well, let me just say this. Let me start with this. You may be saying, well, Jimmy, that's great, but I don't have an email list of the people in there in the neighborhood that I farm. Let me tell you a couple ways to get email lists, okay? I would say this. Start with your own neighborhood. If you're a member of an HOA, you're a member of a neighborhood, odds are, as an owner, you can get a list of owners and they have contact information for everyone. That's a great place to start. Let me say this too. Don't spam anybody. I want to tell you exactly how I did it. And I've had 0 complaints and nobody said I was spamming, because we're just going to add value. And I'll show you how I did that in just a second. If you don't have that, do you have a client that you sold that's a good friend in the neighborhood that you're farming? If so, ask them, hey, if you happen to have a contact list for everybody in the neighborhood, I really want to add value to everybody there. Obviously, I'm not going to abuse it. If you get a hold of it, if you wouldn't mind, I'd love to get a copy of it. We got copies of those lists that way. There's other ways. There's all these different places you can go. Truthfinder is a great, that gives you the ability to do background checks on everybody. It gets very accurate email addresses. Let me say this too. Y'all have Cole Realty Resource for primary residence. And y'all get that for free, man. We got to pay for it over here. So such a value that Dave's giving y'all. I would say this: if you're looking for primary residence, Cole Realty Resources are great. Now, none of these are perfect, okay? They're not going to get you exact unless you get the email list or the list from the HOA. But these are ways you can get these. Here's the beauty of this, and I'm going to tell you how I did them. When I first sent these out, industry averages are that you're going to have about 16 to 17% open rate on real estate related emails that you send out. That's industry averages. I titled these, and I'm going to use this example, Beechwood Villas Condos Sales Update for June. That specific title that was so driven to that personal seller, we were getting at a clip of 75% open rates on these emails. Y'all, that's stupid. Think about this. We don't even get 75% open rate on mail we send out, for sure. And this gave us the ability really to get literally up in their kitchen, if you know what I mean. We were literally up in their kitchen giving them this information. So here's what we would do, though. Here's how this format looked like. And it was pretty basic. You don't have to think that you got to do all this. The way I started was I wanted to record a video. Again, I was not going to spend a ton of time on this. I had, again, recording my screen, me down in the bottom. I had all of the active pending solds for that condo pulled up already, sitting on the tab right there. And I just simply went through and said, hey, wanted to give you your update for June for Beechwood Villas. Just want to go through what's currently on the market, what's under contract, and what sold this last month that probably affects your value. And then I would look at them and say, unit A13 sold for this, unit A14 came on the market, unit B12 did this, and here's the sales that happened this last year. There's 1, 2, and there are no 1 bedrooms currently for sale. Whatever it was, I just gave them the update on everything based on what was right in front of me. And then I simply closed with this. I said, hey, listen, I hope this is of value to you. If you're curious about your value, don't hesitate to reach out. Love to be a resource, and it would take me 5 minutes to walk through your place and be able to give you an idea of exactly what your place might sell for. Hope this is helpful. I'll talk to you guys next month. And then I just sent that out. Now, I got to tell you, I did a couple things when the format of this email was simply this. I had a picture that everybody in the neighborhood would recognize. This could be a picture of the sign welcoming people to the neighborhood. It could be a picture of some type of park in the neighborhood. It could be the pool. It could be whatever it was that the second they looked at that, they would know that's where I live. That's my place. And then I literally, y'all, I went to Google Images and I pulled up and I searched for YouTube play button. And because listen, that's the most intriguing thing on the internet right now is that that YouTube play button. So then I went to Canva, which is free through the brand, and I literally took Canva and I just put up that picture and I dropped in that little play button in the center, and then I put right above it Beechwood Villas June sales update. And that was my picture. So on the email, you can imagine I had this set up. Listen, marketing can help y'all with this. If you don't want to do it, I was able to do it. And listen, I promise you, if I was able to do it, you can do it through MailChimp or one of these providers, because I promise you, most of y'all are probably ahead of me technology-wise. Then what I did is I put that on there and I hyperlinked that then to that video I recorded less than 5 minutes going over what was going on in the neighborhood. And then, because listen, some people are scanners, some people won't watch the video. Whether I'm writing for Inman, Entrepreneur, or anywhere, people are scanners. So in the body of the email, I put same topic right at the top. I'm just reinforcing this. Beechwood Villas June sales update. First paragraph, all it did was it outlined what's happened that month as far as activity-wise. Then bold, each one paragraph for each. Currently on the market in Beechwood Villas. Currently under contract in Beechwood Villas. Currently, it's sold in the last 60 days on Beechwood Villas, or 30 days. And then I just had my little call to action. And then I would just have one paragraph that was telling which units were for sale, what the price was, when they were closing, if they were pending, and the ones that closed, the date they closed, their square footage, and what was, how that might have affected values. Then the call to action was simply that same thing I was talking about. In the bottom part, I just said, hey, if you're curious about your value, take me 5 minutes to walk through your place, give you an idea of exactly what your place would sell for now. Hope this is of value, and I'll talk to you soon. That was it. Let me say this. Todd, I sent this out the first couple months. I got nothing back. Listen, how many of you know that the reason why they call it farming is, and now listen, I grew up on a dirt road. There are farmers all around me. Farmers don't plant seeds on Monday and walk outside on Tuesday and be like, well, I can't believe the crop didn't produce. They understand that this is a process. So what happened for me is the first 2 months, nothing. And I was like, man, have I done something wrong? What's going on here? Third month, I get the first call, listing. Second month, 2 listings. Third month, listing and a buyer. And I went, oh, wait a minute. This is a friggin' ATM. Every single month when I send this out, I'm getting some type of business. And it's because everybody recognizes this, but we don't initiate it sometimes. Repetition builds your reputation. Because you say you're going to send it to them every month, and you send it to them every month, all of a sudden now you've moved subconsciously from them knowing you. They begin to know you. They begin to like you because you're giving them something of value. And they then move down to the level of trusting you when you haven't even talked to them yet. Because here's what video does. I call them OKP. I'm looking for our kind of people. Listen, I don't need to do business with everybody. My energy, the way that I speak, my accent, it's going to turn some people off. That's fine. Those aren't my kind of people. I'm looking for the people I'm supposed to do business with. What's great about video is that it actually does the filtering for us so that I don't show up at a listing and I've got somebody that is a square peg grinding to go into my round hole. We're just not going to work well together. It actually does a lot of that for us, and it does the filtering to find your people. And once you find your people and you continuously, in repetition, add value to them, you become the not only the resource, you become the expert they see in that neighborhood. Now, I'll say this. You want some gas on this fire, go ahead and then continue to do the standard things that you do with farming. Add this into the repertoire, and then take, like you guys have, Sly Broadcast for free. Go in there and send a message the day after you email this out to them and just say, hey, it's Jimmy Burgess. Just sent you the email yesterday about the update on what's going on in your neighborhood. Just want to make sure you got it. See if you have any questions. Listen, I'm always available if I can be a resource. I can be reached at. Look forward to hearing from you soon. You drop that one voicemail to all of those folks that are in that, and you'll be amazed at how much that's going to help as well. Again, it's a free tool. I wish that we could give that to our agents. I'm working on it now after talking to y'all yesterday, Dave. But listen, you guys already have this. You have this ability to do this for free. That extra touch, that extra thing really makes a big difference when you're doing that. Now you want to talk about some really extra. Think about this. Y'all are provided with, and we don't do this. I wish, again, this is another thing I wish that we had for our agents, 50 free postcards for just listed, just solds. You're going to get some listings if you do this. I will tell you this. If you do what we just talked about for 3 months, well, let me do it 4 months. I feel completely confident that you're going to get at least one listing or a sale with somebody that has a friend or family member that wants to be in that neighborhood. If you do that, now imagine compounding that with the free 50 postcards that you get from the company when you just list or you just sold. All of a sudden now, we begin to compound your effect. Now you're not just recognized. Now they see you doing business. Now they see your neighbors doing business. Now we take those postcards and we really get cute with this thing. We take a testimony from one of their neighbors that you just sold it for with multiple offers. And we put that testimony on the postcard and just say, hey, such a privilege to help your previous neighbor sell their house in your neighborhood. Here's what they had to say about the experience. Man, you're talking about, it's going to get real ugly real quick as far as you being the dominant agent in that neighborhood. And the majority of everything I've talked about right here, literally every single thing I've talked about on this particular situation is free. Every single bit of it. Talking about using Cold Realty Resource to get some of the email addresses. Talking about using the 50 free postcards. Talking about free slide broadcasts that y'all do. MailChimp is free. Your CRM, Sage is free. Whatever you use. All of that stuff is there, and this is one of those that nobody else, again, this is the way, in my opinion, if you're not growing your business and doing new things, you can't expect new results. This is one of those that if you'll do it, I believe with all my heart, because we're seeing the results. This isn't just something I'm thinking will work. This is what's working for us. If you do that right there, you will be the dominant agent within 8 to 9 months of that market. You'll have 20% of that market share in that neighborhood. Make sense, Dave?
Absolutely. I'm rallying some troops that are missing right now about the recording we're going to share on this, Jimmy. So
yeah, and I'm taking furious notes. I have a question, and this may be outside the kind of pale a little bit, but I think you're just the guy to talk to it. Is this something that you could do as social media content? Can you do this video, basically unsolicited, kind of combining these two things? An unsolicited neighborhood overview, do it quickly, do the just like you said, and then just post that as a social media post. You could probably even geotag, do some sort of an ad, Facebook, and kind of geo-target it, or you can do it on AdWorks. You can do an ad and then have the link to the video. What do you think about that?
Let me give you a secret sauce on this too. So let's say you've got a really good friend that you sold to in a neighborhood that you're farming. They've got an internal Facebook page that the owners can post to. Do one specifically where you're talking in general terms about the neighborhood that you sent to the friend, and basically here's how we kind of do these. And we say, if it was you, Todd, it'd be like, hey, Todd, it's Jimmy. Just want to say thanks for your business in the past and also your friendship. But I just want to give you an update on what's going on in your neighborhood. And then you just go into it and you go through, hey, here's what's active, pending, and sold. Listen, here's some trends that we're seeing right now in the neighborhood. Just appreciate it if you keep it in mind. If you know of anybody that's thinking about selling, we had that one over there. It got 5 offers that we just sold for the so-and-so, the Smith. And we got 4 people that really want to buy in the neighborhood, man. So if you hear of any of your neighbors that are thinking about it, please keep me in mind. And I appreciate your friendship, appreciate the business, the trust, and just know I'm here if I can ever do anything for you. Then you have them post that to the Facebook group. Now imagine this. Now you haven't done it. You've asked your friend. I mean, you've asked your client. You've asked that person to do it, and most are willing to do it and just say, and here's what they should post it as. Hey, everybody, my realtor and friend, Jimmy, just sent me an update on the sale that happened over at the Smiths with multiple offers, and they've got other buyers. And you'll see below, this is the video he sent me with an update on what's going on in the neighborhood, and asked me to see to let him know if there was anybody else, because there's 4 other families that are probably at a place they pay a premium to be a part of our neighborhood. Just want to see if anybody knows of anything, if they could I just want to pass this information on, because I know Jimmy's doing everything he can to help his families. You talk about crazy, man. That just gets you inside, and it's low key. You don't want to do it as a sales video. You just want it to be where you're just talking to your friend and giving them an update. And that's one way that we've done it, Todd, to be almost like the Trojan horse, so to speak, coming in without them even realizing we're coming in.
So, Jimmy, I want to make sure I emphasize a particular point, which is that people care about what's going on in their neighborhood, Beechwood Village condos in your example, way more than they care about what's going on in their city or their county, etc. So, I call it hyper-local farming. You've got to be promoting the name of the neighborhood, the street, like down to as granular as you can get relative to your audience. And these communities, these tracts of homes that have a particular community name are the basis for how you do that. So, Todd, in your example, I think you would grab, using Cole, for example, the email addresses from that farm. You'd drop those into Facebook as a custom audience, and you'd make sure that only the people that you want to see that, because everyone else is going to ignore it.
There you go. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, and the other thing that we've done also is with AdWorks, we haven't done this in a little bit, now you've reminded me of this, is we were taking that and uploading those emails like a sphere group for that area.
Yep.
And we were putting the hard copy there was like your whatever area, your Seagrove Beach expert, and then it was just constantly hitting them, you know what I mean, with an AdWorks there, and it was pennies on the impressions. And we were doing it that way as far as branding as the expert in that neighborhood and in that area also.
You could do a custom ad for AdWorks. That is your picture of the condo with the YouTube button. That could be your ad.
Sure.
That's exactly right. That's what I'm saying. That's what we did, Todd, and it's brilliant. It works really well.
Love it.
How about putting it on Nextdoor?
That's a great idea.
Great
idea. Yeah.
Yeah, but I love that, Dave. Hyper local farming. I love that. If we keep that in your mind, because that's what I'm guilty of. I'm guilty of trying to give information to everybody, and everybody doesn't want each other's information. They want their information.
That's exactly right. That's the only thing they're going to pay attention to. That's why he has 75% open rates, right? Is because he's talking about their condos, so that's the differentiator.
Yeah,
so let me say this too, just to go back to that, as you gather these email addresses, and again, let me stress this: if you go in hot with commission breath on these, they're going to roast you. I have not gotten a single complaint. Not a single person has said, I can't believe you're giving me all this value. Can't believe you're doing this. You know what I mean? Because we were going in there really, literally. People can listen. You can tell. People know. They know whether you're coming from a place that you're wanting to add value to them or whether you're not. And let me bounce off of this, because I just did something for Inman this morning. I had another one that I did, and I thought this was such a great idea, and I'm going to implement this, but I'm going to share it with y'all. It's fresh off. Literally, it's on my notes from an hour and a half ago when I did a webinar for Inman Connect this morning with the person that I was with. What she's doing in her farm is she's taking and doing $10 gift cards to the local grocery store. And as she's going through the neighborhood, if she sees someone doing something in the neighborhood, somebody that shows something on Facebook, somebody's done something in the community, she's sending 10 of these a month with handwritten notes, just saying, just wanted to make sure you know how much we appreciate you being such a great neighbor. And we saw you doing whatever it was. Or, hey, I saw where you did this. Just wanted to give you a little token of our appreciation for being such a great neighbor. Let us know if we can ever be a resource for you. They're not publishing this. They're doing 10, and she said her business in her farm area has blown up. Imagine in the afternoon driving through there and seeing someone who had the best looking yard in the neighborhood, and you sent them because they took pride in that thing. Sent them a handwritten note and just said, "Hey, I was just driving through the neighborhood. Man, I love the neighborhood, and just wanted to tell you how much I appreciate how much you make everybody else's place look that much better with how meticulous you are on taking care of your yard. Here's a little token of our appreciation. Again, thanks for being such a great neighbor. Those little things like that don't cost, $10, I promise you're going to get more than $10 worth of value on that. Can you imagine if you said, let's say it cost you $1,000 and you sent out 100 of these. Do you think you might get a piece of business from that $1,000 that's going to be worth more than $1,000? And let me just say this too. This is the beauty of this, Dave, is we're living in a world that's so negative, that's so, crazy with everything going on around us. Do you know how much a handwritten note of thanking someone unexpectedly for something they've done in the community would just, how well that plays? Plus, I'll just be honest. I think I'm going to get way more than $1,000. Even if you did 10 of them, you did $100 a month. I can't fathom how much that's going to make me feel better to be able to start focusing. What we focus on expands. If you're focused on listings, you're going to get more listings. If you're focused on who's doing good in your community, you're going to see more people that are doing good. I think it's just a mental health thing that we should be doing now anyway. It's just the right thing to do. But, man, what a great concept of recognizing people in the neighborhood. And in turn, I promise you it's going to come back to you way more. But it's just the right thing to do also.
Love it. Love it.
So let's talk about 3 to 12-month-old expires, if that's okay, and then we'll get to questions if that's okay. I know we've now been going about 45 minutes. So here's the reason why really 3-month to 24-month-old expires is such a critical area for us right now. Odds are, if somebody had something listed in our market 3 months ago and they were 10% overpriced, the value's already up to where they were. So odds are the market is making them look better. Also, if they were functionally obsolescent 18 months ago, the market's willing to overlook that now because of the lack of inventory. So the majority of these folks, when the day that they expire, they got 40 calls. They got sick of realtors. Now we're talking about 3 months later, nobody's calling. Maybe one agent's checking in every so often with a postcard or a drip campaign that everybody can tell that it's just an automated program. Picking up the phone and calling these folks and just saying, hey, it's Jimmy Burgess. I'll just give you what we're doing. Hey, it's Jimmy Burgess with Berkshire Hathaway HomeServices. Just wanted to give you a call. Listen, the market, the real estate market's been pretty amazing. Sorry you guys had your place for sale 9 months ago. Just checking in to see what your plans are for the house. And then just be quiet and just let them do the talking. Some will say, hey, we're probably going to be here another 12 months. Well, now you got somebody that you can add value to for 12 months, and that's your listing next June. Or maybe they say, well, we had the right price. Well, in reality right now, if you find somebody that's got a place, odds are you may even have a buyer for it. Or if you'll communicate with each other, odds are somebody in this group has got a buyer for that house, and you can do an off-market deal without even having to list it. So we're really focusing on these people that raised their hand and said, I want to sell my house. They just have the right agent, or it wasn't the right time in the market. I'll tell you this right now, you're the right agent, and the time in the market is absolutely right now for them to get that house sold. It's just a matter of us wading into the water and catching these waves that somebody's going to catch. It's just a matter of whether you're the one that paddles out there and gets that wave.
Yeah, so we didn't cover this yesterday, Jimmy, but our local boards are doing a good job of cracking down on our use of the data around expires. And so more or less our pivot around that has been to, you can include them in a data set, but you can't speak to the fact that they're an expired necessarily. Mm-hmm. So we have to kind of tweak our messaging on that, I think, to make that appropriate. But I still believe your insight around that particular population, those old expireds, which are now being ignored by most realtors, are in fact have a higher sell score, quote unquote, than a lot of other people in the marketplace, right?
So let me give you one, and Dave, you speak to what your regulation is out there as well, please, and stop me if I'm going the wrong direction. What we've been doing is we've been leveraging our buyers to get listings, and that's how we're double-siding some of these things. So I'll give you an example. That person that had their place for sale 6 months ago, 12 months ago, whatever, and you can't talk to them about the fact that they had it for sale. Imagine, and what we've been doing is old school circle prospecting of a buyer that someone missed out on multiple offers. So what we're doing is we're calling all of those houses right around that. And it's a simple call like this. It's just, hey, this is Jimmy Burgess with Berkshire Hathaway. Don't know if you realize it or not, but your neighbor's place came on the market 2 days ago. My understanding is they had 7 or 8 offers. I unfortunately had one of the people that missed out on buying in the neighborhood. They love the neighborhood. And I'm just trying to do everything I can to see if you have heard of any of your neighbors that may be considering selling, because these people, because they missed out, are possibly willing to pay a premium for the right place. And then just ask if they know of anybody. Listen, if they're thinking about it, they will tell you, or they will ask more about that sale or what was going on. And so from that standpoint, we're using those buyers to leverage that. So let's say that you know that there's that expired listing, and you're not calling on the expired side. You're calling because you've got a potential buyer. And listen, we've all got potential buyers. I'll guarantee you in this group, if we said ABC neighborhood, 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, does anybody have somebody that would be interested in seeing this house? We'd probably have 4 or 5 people that have people right now. So it's not like we're not out there telling them the truth. We've got people that are looking to buy. It's just generating those conversations. Would that be acceptable, Dave?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that is the key workaround, Jimmy. And I'm guessing that this group alone has 100 buyers that are in the queue right now combined. And so it's about doing the work, right? It's about what neighborhood do those folks want to live in, and then do the work, circle prospect, make those calls, maybe layer in some slide broadcasts.
Yes.
Get out there and hunt on behalf of that buyer, and you'll find the listing.
Yeah, and I'll tell you right now, I don't know, because I don't know where y'all are in the process also. I mean, we've been open for a while now, obviously in Florida, but our open houses right now are generating more traffic. I've been doing this 27 years. I've never seen anything like it. I mean, we'll have 50 to 75 people coming through an open house in a 4-hour period. It is literally, it looks like, last one we did, I asked somebody, I said, man, I wish somebody would set a camera up where it looks like, remember the old Volkswagens and circuses that would pull in and about 50 clowns would come out of that thing? And you're like, where do they keep coming from? That's what it looks like if you're sitting outside when these open houses after that first hour. It's just, they just keep coming out of there. I mean, it's crazy. I would say right now, leveraging your free slide broadcast to the neighbors is a great way to start possibly generating some listing also, because you're always going to get the nosy neighbors. And here's what we've been doing and utilizing slide broadcast is. Let's say you've got an open house that's getting ready to happen. We're sending this to the neighbors in the slide broadcast. We're sending it and saying, hey, this is Jimmy Burgess. Your neighbor so-and-so has entrusted us to sell their home. We're going to be having an open house on Friday from 5 to 8 p.m. But we're also what we're going to do is we want to make sure the neighbors get a chance to see the house first. And also to give you an opportunity that if you might have a friend or family member, we'd love for you guys to be able to choose your neighbor. We're going to have the house open from 4 to 5 for anybody that's in the neighborhood that would like to see it before the large crowds get there. So we'd love to see you on Friday. Let us know if there's any questions you have, and we'll talk to you soon. And then what we do is we know from 4 to 5, everybody that's walking in from 4 to 5, those are neighbors. That is prime target, because that's then the people that were like, if they came over there, they're either super nosy, the Kravitz show up, or we've got somebody that's considering or thinking and wondering what their value is. And it's a great way to follow up with those folks and say, hey, listen, we're expecting a lot of people. If you'd like, I'll follow up with you and let you know kind of how this goes, just so you'll kind of know what's going on, outside of what you'll see in the public domain.
I think it's a tremendous idea. You're separating the neighbors out by giving them a special hour when they're invited to see it outside of the crowds. Tremendous idea.
Because here's the problem is when you got 40 people coming through, they don't always tell you they're a neighbor.
Right.
You know it because you have not published that to anyone else except to the neighbors. And so that's a great way to really reach out to that group.
And you promote that they get to avoid the crowd.
That's exactly right. Yep. Yes.
Love it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And so that's one of the things that's really working well for us right now. The open houses, it's just a tremendous. The problem is getting a house to hold an open house. We've talked about that we're doing a lot of off-market stuff, but one of the ways we're promoting it to sellers is that we're doing the open house. We're saying, hey, listen, let's hold off on having any showings until the open house. And it does 2 things. It gets, when you got people tripping over each other, these multiple offers get silly sometimes because people get to a place where they're making emotional decisions for on the buyer side because they want to win. And so it benefits your seller. Here's what it does to you though. Now, a lot of these are coming without agents, and you're getting an opportunity to build a database of people that then when you send your just sold out or you're, went under contract and hey, we've got more people, you can talk to some of those people and say, hey, listen, there was one particular group that came through that really, really loves the neighborhood and hates they missed out on this. Listen, I'm not even wanting to list your house. I just want to, if you don't mind, I'd love to show it to this one person. We can do a one-time commission agreement on this. And if it works out, that's great. If not, no harm, no foul. If there's a price where you guys would consider selling. And that's been really good for us. The kicker on the last sentence that we like to use is when we're talking to people, circle prospecting, and even if it doesn't come up about their place, I always try to end calls with, listen, I'd be the worst realtor in the world if I didn't at least ask you, is there a price where you guys might consider selling? And sometimes you'll be amazed at what they say.
Yeah.
And sometimes they'll say, and it's $100,000 above where it is, and say, listen, as you know, we're not there now, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark this in there. I'm going to keep in touch. And when and if we get to that level, I will definitely let you know that you're at a place where you mentioned you might consider selling. Yeah. I'll make sure that I stay in touch. Yeah. That's your people then that are out there where we're talking about who do I do these video unsolicited CMAs for? That's the people that are in the tickle file that all of a sudden 6 months, 9 months from now, we give them an updated valuation. We've already got in our CM that noted that, hey, they said they would sell for this. And we're mentioning that, and they're like, I can't believe they remember it. You're saying, hey, remember last time I told you we were $100,000 off from where you might sell? We're 50 now. We're getting closer. So just wanted to give you an update on where the valuation is. Listen, I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. If I can help in any way, just let me know. Those are super valuable.
Jimmy, our market stats are telling us that this is an incredible time right now for buyer activity. I mean, we've got in Riverside County, for instance, twice as many homes in escrow as we have available for sale. 150%. But the point is the buyer demand is fervent. It explains how you're getting these guest counts coming through 50 or 75 people. We have to set expectations with our sellers around we're doing an open house. And whether you put off the showings or not, I think that has to be the part of it. And you guys got to do the work, obviously, but the setting the expectations with the sellers, I think, is critical. Getting that open house and getting the opportunity to mine for new buyers based on how many of them are out there in this marketplace right now, I think is critical. And, it's really a matter of setting expectations and doing the work and be willing to mine right now, because the mining just doesn't get any better than it is right this minute.
Dave, I've been doing this now 27 years. I don't know when I became the old guy in the business. You know what I mean? I'm now the guy I used to make fun of. It's kind of sad. But I will say this. Yes, the business is constantly evolving. It's constantly changing. There's never been a time in my 27 years that I'm more excited about the opportunities in real estate. The wheat is being separated from the chaff right now. And everybody on this call is friggin' wheat. So this is the time where you really have the opportunity to separate yourself, in my opinion, like never before. Because listen, the person that's out there, the average agent that's out there, nobody on this call, the average agent that's out there that has a buyer and they're waiting on it to come on the market, they're waiting the perfect place to come on the MLS, compete with 10 offers, and get their buyers the opportunity to buy the house at a value is playing a losing game. Stepping up for your buyers by making these calls. It's where you're building relationships. Listen, there's times where if your buyer just comes in, you show them 3 places and they then buy the house. Let me tell you what's happened is you've planted that seed for future business, but it's super shallow roots. The second that the sun comes out, it's going to wither it away. Let me tell you what happens, though, when you've got a buyer that's missed out on 10 offers and you say, listen, let me tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to call everybody on the street where we missed out on that house and see if I can find one for you. And you do that, and then let's say you find that one for them. Let me tell you what just happened on that relationship. The roots in that relationship got driven so deep that they will never leave you. And not only will they not leave you, there's going to be fruit that will be bearing from that tree in the form of referrals, future business, friends and family members for them that you can't fathom. So let me say this. A lot of times we'll look at the business and be like, oh, this kind of sucks. We got these buyers and we can't find them anything. The extra work you put in right now is going to reap an abundant harvest in the future for those that are willing to do the work right now. I believe we're at a place where we've got the opportunity to set ourselves up for historical runs as far as your business growth right now. That's what we're seeing with our agents. And ultimately it is, Dave, you nailed it. Everybody's got to do the business. You got to do the work. We can't do it. I will say this. The table is absolutely filled with food. You just got to go out and eat. You got to physically pull up to the table and do your part of going out there and eating. So I'm just excited about the business, Dave. And I'll say this, because I do a lot of these for a lot of the different companies around through the brand. When y'all started telling me everything you guys offer, what a privilege to be a part of y'all's team. What a privilege to be a part of somebody that supports. I mean, and y'all, just so y'all know, and you can buy me a drink next time. I wasn't even thinking about this, Dave, but I talk to a lot of leaders and there's certain people you talk to and you're like, that guy gets it. Dave Corey, that guy gets it. And I believe with all my heart, because of the conversations we've had, he literally will spit his guts out to put you guys in a place where you can win. And he's going to do everything. I mean, it speaks for itself, all the tools he provides. And so anyway, I'm just encouraged for you guys. I'm super excited for you guys for what the future holds. And Dave, I can't thank you and Todd enough for having me on today. If there's any questions I can answer, I'll be glad to do that as well.
Very sweet of you, Jimmy. Thank you.
Next drink's on you. First drink's on you.
That's fine. I wanted to mention we talked yesterday about using the Cabernet Club's Facebook group as a way to connect buyers with coming soons, right?
Yes.
So you're experiencing a lot of success doing that in your brokerage. You want to give us a minute on that?
Yeah, I mean, what's happening is we've never needed each other more than we do right now, especially top producers. So what we've been doing is we've got a group of ours, our top 20, where we do a lot of sharing of information on coming soon, off-market properties, even buyer needs. We're sharing that, hey, I've got this buyer. They've got $2 million cash, 1031 money they need to place. What they really want is this, this, and this. And we're posting that in there. And it's amazing what it cues then the opportunity for one of the other agents to say, I had this person that I sold to. So I'm going to share this with them, and I'll let you know what I find out. And we're putting about, right now, it's kind of almost embarrassing. We're putting $10 million internally per week together on off-market deals right now because of the collaboration. So I would just encourage everybody to collaborate in a way that like we've never done before. And for me, that's really been something that's been pretty amazing to see.
So I want to restate that, right? This is a group of 250 agents, a little smaller than our brokerage by head count, but you guys are putting $10 million a week together in deals by just having the top producers talk to each other and marry upcoming soons with buyers that are in the mix, right?
That's exactly right. Yes. And it's just working together. I mean, listen, we all need each other now more than ever. If you've got a buyer that has a need, what does it hurt for you to share that with other top producers? What it helps is the opportunity for them to cue something in them or say, hey, listen, because a lot of people on here know the listings they've got coming in the next couple, 3 months. One of the things that's been an advantage in how we've been selling this to the sellers is we've got it's not for everybody. We've got certain sellers that they really just want to have the opportunity. We had one this past, I did it 2 weeks ago. It's a past buyer of mine. And they were sitting there, they're like, listen, we're going to put our place in the market. Our place is being built. And we're thinking about $1.4 million is what, where we are after I'd given them the update on valuation. I came back to him. I said, listen, I know we're going to wait till August to put this thing on the market, or July rather. And, but listen, we've got this internal group. And what we're seeing is that a lot of people, if they feel like they've found something off market, there's this fear of loss with buyers now. They feel like they've got a special deal. In a lot of cases, they're willing to pay a premium. So we're spinning it for the buyers that, hey, they get this exclusive view of this thing first. And then what we did for the sellers is we priced it at $1,450,000. And we basically told the people, said, listen, we're coming on the market at $1,450,000. If you want this thing, we're really not going to budge. I mean, this is where we're starting at, and we either want to get it out of the market, know that we're going to have 20 people come through this thing in the first weekend, or we want what we want. And I shared that in the group. Less than 8 hours later, it was shown, and we had $1,450,000 cash offer to close with the terms the seller wanted, which was not to close until August because the buyer was willing to do that because they were afraid they were going to miss out on it. So they got their terms and their price. It helped the seller. The buyer, who had been looking and missed out on 3 other things, was extremely excited with their agent because the agent had now found them something that nobody else could find for them. So it was a win, 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 win. It was a win for the seller. It was a winner for the buyer, our most important thing, our clients. And it was a winner for me as the listing agent, and a winner for the other for the buyer's agent as well. And it was internal. So now, what do you think is going to happen the next time that buyer's agent has one that's getting ready to come on the market? Listen, I'm not out there actively selling, but I bet that she lets me know, because now we've created this environment where we're collaborating in a way that we've never done before. And it just feeds itself.
God bless this market. Yeah, go ahead, Janice.
So, with all due respect, why would you only limit it to your top 20? Why wouldn't you open it up to all 250 members in your brokerage? They may have somebody.
We do that. Janice, what we're doing, just to give you an idea, we have every 2 weeks, we have what we call a roundtable event, where everybody in the company comes in and we share what the buyer needs are and off-market properties coming. So what this is, let me just say this, we want to share it with everybody, but what we were doing in that group is, and I don't want to be wrong on this, but A players want to be around A players. And so I knew there's a certain group that, and I'm just being real, there's certain of our top producers that would rather do a deal with our number 2 person in the company than our number 240 person. And I don't, that's right or wrong. We make it available for everybody every 2 weeks. This is a little private group like you guys have on your Facebook group. But I will say this, in some way, shape, or form, Dave, I would encourage y'all to do it to everybody as well. But yeah, Janice, does that make sense? I mean, we're doing it to everyone. But listen, I knew when Tammy Moats brought me a cash offer, those people are going to close because they had a good agent. They knew everything that was going on in there. Right or wrong, it gave me the confidence with my seller that I knew that was going to be a smooth transaction. And literally, it's been one of the smoothest transactions you can imagine.
No, I get it.
I do it with both.
I like that you do it to both groups.
Yeah, we have the availability as well. We have your mastermind that is just you guys Facebook group, so you can communicate with each other, and then we have the all company mastermind as well, and they're all also offered and encouraged to communicate with each other as well.
Janice, the one we did for the inner office that I did last Wednesday, already I'm aware of $17 million that went under contract internally by sharing that information and collaborating as a team. It's incredible. It's incredible. And I'll tell you what else it does. It gives you a trust with the agents that you're around. You build those relationships, and it also gives you the ability to understand, I'm going to do, listen, 1 + 1, especially when you're collaborating with someone else, should not equal 2. It should equal 4. And so when you take and you do as many agents as y'all have, and you do this throughout your entire company, it's incredible what that can do. We've even gone, and Janice, I'll expand on that a little bit. We have the meetings every 2 weeks, but on Tuesdays and Fridays, we used the community app where we had everybody in the company on that it signs up to receive these, because some didn't want them. They're just, for whatever reason. We send out, here's 2 or 3 places that people have let us know about that are coming on the market or that they shared in the previous meeting on Wednesday. And it goes out to everybody that's on that text group. And that's something that's just a value add, because now what we've done is we are leveraging this with our buyers and saying, hey, listen, I've got a collaborative group of over 250 or right at 250 agents that we're sharing with each other when things are coming off the market. So just want to make sure you understand, I'm going to do everything in my power to find not only what comes on the market, but the opportunities, as many opportunities as I can for you. So it drives that relationship and value of you as an agent for your buyers as well.
Yeah, I always thank you, Jimmy. I always also want to mention, we're talking about tools that are already existing that we want to use more. The buyer's match tool that's available on the Resource Center is formatted for that as well. So if we could get 345 agents using the buyer's match tool, that could be a constant source of what we're talking about.
Great idea. Great idea.
Let's take
Janice, did that answer your question, though? I want to make sure, Dave, that I answered Janice's question, because I understand what you're saying. It should not be exclusive. I get what you're saying.
I have a problem. No, you did. I personally have always been considered a top producer, and I have a real problem with that separation, because I think everybody has to start somewhere, and I think it promotes the people that are new or maybe not quite to the point of, and I hate the word top producer, but I think it's inclusive. And I think when you separate people, I think it's a negative and it's resentful. And I think our job is to promote them, to help them to get to be a top producer.
Janice, let me, if you don't mind, Dave, I'll speak to that too, because I understand exactly what you're saying, and I agree. One of the things that we do is we want, and we've tried to do this. We did an event where we had some of our top producers, and I know you don't like that term, but we had the people that were doing the most business, where we had panels of 3 people. We did 4 panels. We did one on marketing, we did one on generating listings, we did one on database management, and we did one on building your business. And we did those where we were sharing the ideas, where we were lifting people up. One of the things, though, and I'm going to give you kind of behind the scenes, because hopefully this will, I wouldn't say this to everybody. One of the things that I wanted to do by having that group sharing is I wanted it to be inspirational. I wanted it to be something that people wanted to, could see themselves. And I'll say this, anybody that's been to any conventions and heard certain people speak, they're like, wow, if they can do it, man, surely I can do it, So, it's one of those where I think sometimes, Janice, we that separation is not meant to separate. It's meant to inspire and encourage. And we let a $30 million producer go that was just so self-serving, literally 6 months ago, because it was just not good for our culture. We want the most collaborative. My vision and what I say to our entire team is we want to be the most collaborative group of agents in the entire country. And so if somebody doesn't fit in that, where I want everybody on our team, whether they be the newest agent, to feel completely comfortable calling the most experienced agent we have and being able to help each other. So I hope that gives you a little better feel for who I think, and I understand what you're saying.
Thanks.
I hate to be defensive, but I got to tell, we have some folks that are on the call that this is a Cabernet club call. It's exclusive, if you will, and invite only based on production. But what we do is we have those that are, that are on the rise, that are nipping at the heels of these production numbers. We have some of those on the call right now. And then we have the mastermind group for everybody. The Cabernet Club is invited to it. So we really try to mix, and I get your point, Janice, but we try to mix these groups, provide top level, because if you're a producer that's getting into the business, or you're at a certain level, you may be overwhelmed by some of these tactics, and we want to focus on them on the level of producer that can really implement them. But we also want to integrate the knowledge and the tactics. So I think personally we're doing a really good job of leveling things out, feeding agents with information that they can use at where their business is at now, and then give them some place to look to go to the next level. So I'm passionate about it, so I don't want to be defensive, but I also want to defend our what we're doing there.
That was not a critical statement that I made. I was asking a question of him.
You're right.
They chose to do that. That was not criticism. Okay.
Yeah, we absolutely need to share across the board. And like I said, we've got some agents that are nipping on the heels of the Cabernet Club. They're gonna be in it. So it's exciting to see that progression.
So Todd, we're just about at the end of our time, and I want to announce our next month's guest. And since Jimmy is so familiar with Mr. Doug Edrington, Jimmy can kind of pitch Doug to the group as well to build some excitement about Doug. So Jimmy, tell us what you know about Doug, if you would.
Yeah, Doug's a good friend of mine, and he's probably one of the best minds as far as coaching and actually team building that I know. I don't know his exact numbers, but I know he's in the top 100 teams in the Berkshire brand. He also runs basically a brokerage of teams out of Chattanooga, Tennessee. He's a Tom Ferry coach. He is probably, if outside, he is probably one of the top 3 people that Tom leans on for information. And basically what you see coming out of Tom Ferry's organization, a lot of it is coming directly from Doug. We had him come into our group and speak, and probably one of the most impactful for our elite group, because he can speak at the level that anyone wants to speak at, no matter where you are in your business. He's either been there or he is headed that direction. So I think it's a great, I'd love to sit in on it, to be honest.
Yeah, thank you for that. So gang, Doug will be joining us for our July session. Our brokerage has a long way to go as far as teams. But for this Cabernet Club in particular, you guys are all looking at, how do I take that next step? How do I layer in an assistant? How do I leverage a TC more effectively? Wherever you are, as Jimmy said, Doug can meet us there and help us understand how we take advantage of these market conditions that Jimmy also just described. This may be the most important market moment in terms of really letting a top producer take advantage of market conditions to double their business. And that means, some of you guys at 6 or 7 million going to 15, and that does involve other helpful humans around you. And Doug, I think, is going to talk, in a granular sense about how to get from point A to point B, to mine some extra wheat right now. So with that, Todd, thank you. You want to talk about this, or Jimmy can as well?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wonder if I looked at it briefly, but I'm excited about it. I have got some questions about. I know it's an exclusive event. How many folks can come? That kind of thing. But this looks super exciting to me. And then Dave has, I think, an exciting revelation as well. So, Jimmy, what can you tell us about Explosion 2021?
That is one of those. We took 4 of our agents 2 years ago. It's in Omaha, and if you haven't seen that office, it's incredible. Vince Lisi is the CEO there. We had a great time of I think there were about 200 or so agents that they have at this event, and it is basically broken down by panels. So everything that we had, one of our agents that had been in the business 17 years, and her comment was when she left, this was the best and most ideas she's ever been able to get out of any event. There's nothing being tried to be sold here. There's not a ton of rah-rah for the brand. I mean, there is some obviously, but it is just a high impact breakout sessions, tremendous opportunity to get around some other great agents. And so, I mean, you'll see that this panelists that are coming, I mean, these are rock stars. So, I mean, it's one of those where you're going to be around some of the best, and they are freely sharing their ideas throughout this entire time that we're there.
So our deal, gang, is we're going to pay the registration fee. It's $350 for 4 of you who want to pay for your own travel arrangements and lodging. So if any of you are interested in that, the registration fee is on me. You get to go to the birthplace of Berkshire Hathaway, where Mr. Warren Buffett's home actually is, in Omaha, Nebraska. And there'll be some sort of vibe around that particular point. And as Jimmy said, just an extraordinary collection of top producers that are going to be there. So kick it around, gang. And if any of you want to take an August trip to Omaha,
who doesn't want to be in Omaha in August? I mean, come on.
Exactly. It's like 78 degrees there, right? And 0 humidity. But it's also probably a place to explode your head with great ideas and learn from people that are just at the top of the real estate game. So registration fee on me. If you want to take that trip, reach out to Todd or myself and we'll make the arrangements.
It's a good one.
And I think that's it for the day.
Is there 4? We have availability for 4. Is that what I'm understanding? It's an exclusive event, so there's only 4. So it's a first come, first serve to 4 agents. So please reach out to me, email me. It's therealtodd@gmail.com, and let me know if you want to go, and I'll get you the information.
All right, and Jimmy, as we close, let people know, give people your social media credentials. Let us know how they can follow you.
I'm probably the easiest person to find. If you go to YouTube and you just pull up Jimmy Burgess, it should pop up there. There's over 200 videos there. Also, one of the things that's been fun too is I did the real estate sales podcast, any podcast outlet. There's over, I think there's almost 80 episodes there. Those are interviews with top agents as well as just quick 10-minute tip type things on certain things that we're doing that are helpful. Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. I do a ton on LinkedIn. So just wherever, just love to meet them.